Sudarshan, for joining us today for our PropTech Story series. And we are happy that you were able to join us here to tell us more about a company called Strata. So, what I believe is Strata was founded in May 2019, being a quite young company. What I have noticed is that it was designed to reduce the high capital investment for the investors with the help of fractional buying. So, could you tell our viewers more on how fractional buying operates in commercial space, as well? How are you making how are you making the part ownership a reality?
Got it. Great. First, thank you so much, Kritika, for having me here. Just to give a background of how Strata started, both me and my co-founder had a good amount of savings, which we were wanting to invest more so in a commercial real estate. Probably an HNI also today with a 1-2 crore investment ticket size, a good commercial asset where you have a good premium tenant is an aspirational investment, but it is unaffordable as well for everyone for that matter, right? Because today for a 1-2 crore investment, you can get few shops or few restaurants here and there, smaller restaurants for that matter. Again, the kind of client profile is not going to be grade A at the same time. So we saw that there's a big opportunity. And other things which happen is a lot of friends are buying properties together. A lot of people are buying properties together. Many people have come forward and tell you that, okay, Sudarshan, whenever you're investing, let me know. I'll also invest with you at the same time. But two things happen at that time, right? I might not have the liquidity at that given point of time what you expect me to have, as well as I might not see the same vision what you see in the same property. So the people reach out to their inner circle of friends or relatives, when they are wanting to make such a substantial investment. But the idea was that, okay, like you, there are several like-minded investors who are keen to invest with you. Today, they're not investing just because they don't know each other. They don't have a trusted platform or trusted common source which allows them to participate. So that is actually the biggest gap what Strata is filling. The age-old traditional way of buying properties, which friends, families have bought properties together, we are trying to democratize that through the entire platform in itself, right? Uh, so the idea was more that for someone who's already bought a residential apartment, he still has another 1-2 crore for him to invest in, or even say 25-50 lakh, which is a minimum ticket size. Where does he invest in real estate today? There's absolutely nothing. The only thing he can do is perhaps another residential apartment, which many investors do. They typically give you about 1 to 2% rental return, whereas the best of best offices in commercial office spaces give you about 6 to 7% bare minimum returns for that matter. So it's already about 3 to 4 fold than what you can make in residential. But because of the ticket size, that has been an asset class which is aspirational. Like for someone in Bombay, owning a BKC asset is as aspirational for someone like, yeah, one day, I would definitely want to own this. So that dream of that aspiration is what, we are trying to make it a reality at Strata.
Okay. So we are seeing a lot of now people getting involved with fractional buying, right? Not just in commercial, but even residential space. So what are your key differentiator in this?
So Kritika, like I mentioned earlier, right? The kind of rental yield you're able to generate for your investments is already 3-4 times more than what you would make from a residential unit investment for that matter. Second, very, very important is the kind of tenant profile. Now, in a residential, you have an individual who may not pay you on time. Probably, you might have to chase him to get your rentals, etc., etc. However, you're here in a commercial asset, especially the assets what Strata selects are all assets which are pre-leased to multinational tenants. So that's something which is very, very important. It has to be a grade A tenant for us to select that asset at the first place. So having said that, the kind of compliances, contractual obligations are honored much better than an individual from a residential point of view. Very, very critical aspect is, at least in today's time, at least what we've been seeing with data which we've been reading and analyzing, is the fact that residential appreciation has been a little stagnant in the last 3-4 years, whereas commercial, whatever said and done, is a little stagnant, but still there is a good 5 to 8%, 9% kind of appreciation as well. Properties are seeing because the rentals are also escalating. Again, different micro markets behave differently, but at least that way, this has been an opportunity for them. So hence, appreciation is great, rental return is great, the kind of client profile is great. It's a clear winner when it comes to a comparison of a CRE versus a residential asset class, right? One point which I forgot to mention was, at Strata, one biggest thing which we're trying to create for investors today is obviously accessibility and affordability at smaller ticket size so that they can do, and more importantly, get an opportunity accessible on a platform where all the legalities are taken care of, due diligence has been done, negotiations have been done. It's just a yes or a no, and then these guys can start investing digitally, more importantly, right?
Yeah.
Which opens a bigger spectrum of audiences. Let's say the millennials of today, who are very digitally driven. They're making all your digital fintech investments, as you can call it, whether it's using stock trading platforms or mutual fund platforms, not the traditional way of doing, or NRIs, who are loving the whole digital experience altogether, because again, there's a whole lot of data transparency, etc., which comes in. So the core point at Strata is you're able to diversify your commercial real estate portfolio. Today, a normal investor has his diversification done, like say for stock market diversification, it would be split across 20, 30, 40 different stocks for that matter, probably a bank, a pharma, different stocks. However, in commercial real estate, it might typically be 40-50% of his portfolio, but parked into one or two assets at the same time, right? So we're like, when a good chunk of your portfolio is heavily diversified, why not your commercial real estate portfolio as well? So now with the platform, one can invest across different micro markets, different markets itself, different types of asset class, buy a retail, buy an office, buy a warehousing for that matter. But more importantly, buy an asset with different type of tenant profile, right? Today, I can have a tenant which is a manufacturing company, an IT company, a BFSI tenant, etc., etc. So you're having a very risk-adjusted portfolio at the end of the day. That okay, even if one market gets stagnant, even if one industry is hit, on an average, my portfolio is still generating a decent return for myself. So that is what is something which investors are liking about Strata as such.
So tell me about lock-in period, because as I was mentioning, a lot of people are now getting involved in fractional buying, and during this COVID time, I was discussing with few companies who got, I would say, stuck because there was certain lock-in period. So does in deal when it comes to commercial residential spaces, does Strata provide this kind of, different aspect when it comes to lock-in period, or how it is? Is it open? If you could tell our viewers more on that.
Sorry, just to get an understanding, is it the lock-in for the tenant or for the investors?
So, especially for example, any buyer is buying a certain chunk of a commercial space, right? So there is a certain lock-in which comes along when all the investors have put a certain pool in the money, and then if they want to exit those terms, maybe after 2 years or 1 year. So that kind of strategic, or I would say once all the investors are on board, then that kind of exit happens for that particular buyer who has bought that space. But in Strata, is this like a combination of both, that there is a lock-in or is a complete open? Like, how would you tell us on that front?
So we keep a very small lock-in of 6 months. Ideally, the intent is because there's a lot of paperwork which goes. I'm sure you'll understand from a real estate point of view. So hence, we just keep a 6 months lock-in. In fact, we're planning on even taking that off. So there's no lock-in from any of our investors' point of view. They are free to exit their investments whenever they want to. Although a typical recommended time frame for real estate investment is minimum 3 to 5 years. We strictly advise investors to have that kind of mindset. Otherwise, probably not an asset class for them to invest, because gone are those days where you could make a killer return out of your investment in 1-2 years. There was an era where people made that, but not anymore. So come with a 3 to 5 year mindset, because a lot of parameters determine the appreciation in a market, and investors are not investing only for rental returns anyway. So hence 3 to 5 years is a typical time frame, but there's no lock-in at Strata's end. Anybody can exit whenever they want.
So what we have understood, Strata has partnered with, there's a strategic partnership with PropStack. So what was the need gap that you observed which led to this kind of partnership with PropStack?
Great. So clearly, the ethos of PropStack, which is trying to create transparency into the system, is what PropStack is all about. When we were trying to do that, making it accessible to retail with data transparency, and data is the new oil, right? So this is something, especially if you're looking at targeting a good segment of a young millennial crowd or an NRI crowd, the thing which they're averse to investing in real estate per se is because of the kind of opaqueness this industry has. PropStack fills that gap very, very deeply for that matter. So a partnership of that sort allows us two things. One is to allow our investors to know the kind of sale lease comps what PropStack has able to do, as well as the analytics what they have, so that we can identify markets, opportunities which are growth areas where we can start investing our investors' money. That is one thing. And second, obviously, is the whole amount of transparency which PropStack brings on board. So PropStack and I, when we were discussing about when we wanted to start off, when we were doing things, we aligned on every parameter of doing operations, right? So that's when it was the most strategic partnership for us. They're investors as well in our company for that matter, which allows us to scale our operations, make it a more transparent model for investors, and more importantly, keep identifying markets and opportunities for investors, before it hits the market at the same time. So that is what we are doing. Very, very data centric. Our entire investment decisions work as.
Right. So recently we had a webinar with PropStack where we were discussing when it comes to numbers for during this COVID time, especially for the commercial space. So they clearly said that the data is not coming in. We have more of the pre-COVID data, not right now because there's not much of things happening in the commercial space. So how would that affect Strata? Like the data is not coming in currently, but how would you see the consumer behavior in terms, even your investors will change when it comes to fractional buying? Even post COVID, what kind of changes you might see that maybe consumers will wait and see how this fractional buying is actually, playing in the market? Or do you feel strongly that after post COVID also the fractional buying, especially in the commercial space, will have kind of an increase in that space?
Got it. So one thing is people's mindset about commercial is always office assets. Commercial comprises of several asset classes. There's data center, there's warehousing, there's retail, there's cold storages, etc., and office, obviously. So we realized and rightly said that the data what PropStack has is the pre-COVID. Obviously, there might be a lot of changes with respect to lease comps. So there might be capital correction as well, which can happen to several properties based on the cap rate at which transactions are happening these days in the market. So we've realized that there is a lot of uncertainty in the office market at this point of time. Instead of listening to to what the market is saying, we talk to our investors because our investors work in these companies itself, right? So we get first-hand information on what their company strategy is, because it allows us to identify better opportunities for them. So we try to keep it as community-led, so that we talk and interact with our investors regularly to know what each and every industry at least is looking at doing, like how IT company is planning to doing, say, work from home till October, November, at least from a Bangalore point of view, etc. So we realized that there is a good amount of uncertainty in office markets. There's no distress in the market yet from an office asset point of view, because typically the guys and the kind of assets we acquire are pre-leased, multinational tenanted properties for that matter. The owners are not in distress at all. These are 20-30 crore assets. Obviously, they're just parking their disposable income. They're not going to be in heavy distress. So they're also holding on. They don't want to sell it at a discounted 10-15%, which is what a buyer would expect, a pound of flesh from a seller when such uncertain times are there for that matter. So we've also taken a step back. We said, okay, let's see things. I think market is taking a lot of impulsive decisions at the same time. So we realized, okay, let's shift gears into something which is having a maximum demand and has been a resilient sector at the same time. So we forayed into warehousing. We did our warehousing transaction. In fact, pre-COVID as well, we had closed one warehousing transaction. We got the entire flavor that this is something which our investors are also liking it, because again, it's the backbone of any economy at the same time. So during lockdown, we did close to about 120 crore warehousing asset, which we successfully funded. We're going to announce it soon at the same time. So in warehousing per se, capital correction has not happened at all, purely because this is a sector which has, in fact, I'm sure you've seen in the news, has been in demand, purely because many companies have realized how bad their supply chain has been, or how weak their supply chain has been. Many companies wanting to move from unorganized or fragmented warehousing to more organized third-party logistics warehousing. So that is the new buzzword in the market, warehousing itself. So we said, okay, why not we foray into that? That from a very data point of view, if I take any comparison with PropStack, like I said, it's a resilient sector. We don't see any major change at any given point of time. In fact, the demand has just gone up. So in fact, it's at a different end where the demand is chasing the supply at the same time. So hence we are focusing on that. In fact, for the next 2-3 months also, we are only doing, in fact, our next asset, which we're going to launch on our platform soon, is also a warehousing asset, which we've identified. again, the lock-ins are phenomenal. You're talking about 9-10+ year lock-ins with 15-year leases at the same time, far better from an office asset point of view as well. And the tenant profile who are taking these 2.5, 5 lakh kind of square feet are obviously grade A tenants at the same time. So this is something which we've seen as a demand sector which is growing. So we see a good amount of returns which we can create for our investors in future. But more importantly, this is something what our investors are also wanting to foray into at the same time. So office assets, yes, a quarter from now, we might look back again based on what's happening. So PropStech team is also working on a lot of parameters to get that kind of data on different pointers with respect to rental corrections, whatever other things which are happening with PropStech team, which they're experts at, which they're working on. So, we're working hand in hand with them. But for now, we've taken office asset as a little backseat. Let's wait for another 3 to 6 months. There can be stress at that point of time, but today there's no stress. So we might as well focus into something else, which is far more rewarding to our investors.
No, you have rightly said, because now what I'm noticing, maximum demand is happening on logistic and warehousing front. Bigger MNCs are shifting from that big space of office into more of a co-working spaces. That kind of trend we have seen, especially during the COVID. Like, we only have covered so many stories in MNCs. The bigger names, take any FMCG company, take any bigger company which has taken huge space in commercial space, they are moving to co-working. But now the right focus, which India was lacking, I would say, because international, if you see, I'm sure you're aware of, when it comes to logistic and warehousing, they had quite good number of asset and quite organized sector in that front. But in India, we were lacking that, and now I'm sure we all are focusing on that front. But by saying that, see, when it comes to fractional buying, what I've been noticing in Europe, US, it's been there for a decade, more than a decade, you would say. But in India, we could not think on those lines, or maybe could not explore that. Were there any challenges that you faced in the beginning to make people understand how the fractional buying model works? And how were you able to get success in this? Because as we all know, real estate, especially when it comes to India, it's quite still very much narrow when it comes to technology, when it comes to fractional buying. So how did you make your way from here?
Great. So, very rightly said. So, in the West, this has caught on drastically. There are large players which are managing in total close to about $10-15 billion of AUMs just in the last 4-5 years, where the big players have come in and tried to capitalize. US markets has become far more matured in this sector. So is UK, Australia, Singapore, Dubai, for that matter, is also catching up in this sector at the same time. So it's a matter of time. India also picked up, which is why we're doing it. But more importantly, I think the biggest thing is the awareness for investors, making them understand the investment cycle. I mean, for many people, it's too good to be true, kind of a story when they hear about it. Is this even possible? Because, like I said, for many investors, this is an aspirational investment. Everyone wants to make it a part of their portfolio. And something in India, at least, this whole roti kapda makan story, you don't have to really sell real estate, but the only thing you have to sell is the whole model and the approach of doing things, right? So this is there. And coupled with the kind of transparency which we're trying to build on board for investors, that is creating a massive confidence to investors, where we've seen a word of mouth effect from our investors itself, where they're saying, okay, this is a great. In fact, we have investors who are proposing assets that which they want to buy, but because it's too big, they're saying, hey, why don't we work together and acquire the asset collectively as well? So these opportunities, like I said, we're trying to make it very community led. This is helping us scale our operations also very, very fast. At the same time, we today are already at about 180-200 crore AUM. We had kept an initial target of only 250, which we felt is a good number for us to focus on for this financial year, this calendar year, in fact, for that matter. But we are, in fact, I think we should surpass our, the targets which we had kept for ourselves and grow bigger as such. So it is the initial stage which you need to make them understand. But once they do understand, they go all in into that, and they want to probably take a first bet with a smaller asset with a one investment for that matter. But we've seen that repeated sentiment of investors. It's a clear testimony that they're liking what we're doing. They want to create a diversified portfolio at the same time. and more importantly, they want to double down their investments once they're confident about the entire process at the same time. So we are typically at that stage where when Ola Uber was in India, where they were giving a little free rides to make people understand, okay, hey, you don't have to go catch an auto rickshaw outside or a cab. You at a click of your button, you can actually call a cab right outside your house. This is something you're making them understand that, hey, at a click of a button, you get all the data, you get everything about the property, including the due diligence. All you need to do is click at your fingertip in your office, a house, wherever you are, even at a holiday for that matter, and acquire a grade A asset, which has been aspirational for you. So that sentiment, that change of mindset to investors is the stage that we're in. But for those who have crossed that stage, are coming back again and again and investing into our platform.
So will Strata focus in the beginning or for long in commercial space only? As we discussed, there are different aspects when it comes to commercial space. So will you guys be focusing more on that front when it comes to fraction buying?
Effectively only commercial real estate, if I would say. Definitely not. Residential is not a sector which we're looking at. Again, like I said, the returns are not appealing to investors. Most of the investors are comparing this as not a real estate investment, but more as a financial product investment. So clear comparisons made to a mutual fund return or a fixed deposit return or anything else for that matter. So hence, a residential would definitely be out of the radar for them to actually even consider investing at the same time. So commercial is what it is. I'm sure you know the PropStack and the kind of data they have from a commercial real estate point of view. We are talking about close to about 8 to 10,000 crores worth of transactions happening every year in India, for that matter. That's the amount of transactions which are happening, apart from the ones which are getting developed at the same time. Right. So I think there's a pretty big opportunity for us to just disrupt the commercial real estate, which each sector in commercial, whether it's retail, warehouse, office, data center, cold storage, is a huge opportunity in itself, right? And every city itself is a huge opportunity. So we might want to focus only on this for a good number of years.
So recently, you guys raised 1.5 million in a seed round fund. So I want to know, where are you planning to utilize these funds?
Great. So we are today right now in 2 markets where we have offices. We don't like to jump markets. Like, okay, I got a good asset in Pune. Let me just take another asset in Pune, because you need to even build your asset management capabilities at the same time. So we do one city at a time. We've done close to about 5 assets in Bangalore now. So we are now focusing on different markets like Mumbai, Hyderabad. At the same time, we would like to do 5 more assets before we do. So the kind of money which we raised, we are pretty much investing into 3 things, into tech, trying to make the entire experience for investors absolutely digital and seamless for them at the same time, which includes working with different parameters, different organization players at the same time, which allows us to create that entire platform for them to start participating. Second is obviously the team. Team is the entire backbone of our organization, where you're investing in the right team in different markets. We have an office in Mumbai as well now and in Bangalore, so that we can capture to those kind of target audiences, the niche audiences which we focus on. In fact, pre-COVID, there was a lot of physical interaction, but we've seen a massive change of trend where, Zoom and, phone calls have been a clear trend. In fact, like I said, we did a massive in warehousing opportunity recently, which we funded, which we're going to register soon. So that happened completely digital. We never met, I think more than 80% of our clients, we had never met them itself for that matter, all on webinars or on Zoom meetings, which we have tried to close them. And obviously the biggest thing, like I mentioned, is today we are at the stage where we are making investors understand this concept, making them aware of this thing. So obviously spending on marketing at the same time. So these are the 3 sectors ideally we are foraying into. With time, we're looking at creating new products for investors, different kind of products. So there would be some amount of money which we would be focusing on that. But typically, as of now, it's tech, marketing, and people.
So like how you had a strategic partnership with PropStack, will Strata will be also collaborating with other PropTech companies which are there in India, in terms of how you said tech being one of the most important thing? Will we be seeing any kind of collaboration happening in the PropTech space when it comes for Strata?
Absolutely. I mean, we are already in discussion with a couple of companies where we are looking at strategic partnerships, which can help, like how a partnership with PropStack has been, in fact, for that matter. From an asset management point of view, we are working with one company. There's another company we are working in a logistics space at the same time, where we can create a good amount of dent in the or disruption in this entire space in itself. So there are synergies. I mean, we are very tech focused at the same time. Everything for us is tech first always. So hence, anything which can make our life simpler, that is the intent. We'll always be focused towards.
So this I really wanted to know from you because you're in the prop tech space. So how we have spoken about fractional buying getting into India's market is still not mature in India market. People are still trying to understand everything. But when it comes to prop tech space, I've seen still the market, especially when it comes to Indian developers, the real estate market, they are still a bit not there yet. I would say, I won't say the word mature, but I would say still a mental block is there when it comes to technologies. So according to you, where do you see the PropTech market is right now in India? Where it's heading? How the growth would be? What is your insight? Because I'm sure you must be talking to so many PropTech companies as well for the partnership and all. Where do you feel this PropTech market is going in comparison to global market?
So I think global markets are pretty matured when it comes to PropTech. India is not. Again, people are very, I would say, comfortable with the way things have been working. I think COVID has been a classic example where they had to realize that, okay, we need to adopt to technology, because the guys who had adopted to technology have been clear market leaders, have done very well during COVID times as well. At the same time, so I think this is going to be the most important thing. In fact, I think this is probably PropTech's golden opportunity. Many investors are already looking at PropTech as a sector purely because, again, this is the largest sector or the largest asset class in the world in itself, for that matter. And if this has been a sector which is the least technology adopted, the least adoption is there in this space, for that matter, is definitely concerning. So obviously, there's a lot of disruption in this space. Like I said, people have been very traditional, very conventional, so they've not adopted to it in itself. But I think this is perhaps the best time where people will realize that, okay, if I'm not adopting technology, if I'm not getting into digital, let's say digital sales or even virtual site tours or whatever it is for that matter, these are things which are going to make an impact. Other things which are going to make impact, obviously, hygiene is going to be the biggest concern for investors. So clean technology, with respect to your HVACs having better productivity, cleaner air, a bunch of other technologies which could improvise the entire work environment of any of the office markets, for that matter, is going to be a huge change. So PropTech, the biggest golden opportunity India is going to see after COVID.
So I want to ask one last very important thing, which I ask from everyone. Who has been your role model?
Oh, well, lots of people, very difficult to say. Obviously, from a very role model point of view, I mean, I've been brought up in a Marwadi, Jain Marwadi society. So, it's always been there that, you should focus on doing business. So the biggest role model has been my parents at the same time, because very focused at the same time that whatever said and done, focus on doing entrepreneurship. That has been the biggest growth driver for me. Prior to this, I was a private equity lawyer. So I've seen a lot of companies doing things. I've always been inspired with different players on how they've been operating their entire business at the same time. But there are few mentors who are, whose advices always stick to your heart deep down, no matter what. Even, in the middle of the night, you wake up and you realize that. So there are a few professors at IIMs who I've been mentored with, who who keep talking on how to scale things up, how to do things. They have been the biggest growth drivers, and the probably would say the backbone of especially of our organization itself, as a matter of fact, which has helped us to do so. Role model, there's no one person, but I would say, there are several people who keep motivating you. It's you who's supposed to be your own role model, where you can keep picking up the best things from different people and try to improvise yourself on a daily basis to something who you want to be after 5 years. I think that should be the kind of role model you should be chasing after.
So thank you so much, Sudarshan, to share about Strata journey. And I'm sure our viewers would be more aware about the fractional buying that we have just discussed upon. And I'm sure more new opportunities on this front will keep coming for Strata. And I wish you all the best for it.
Thank you, Kritika. Thank you so much.
Thank you.